For now, though, Anti-Hero Chronicles, let's hit this.
So, here's the plan, start to finish. First, we have Techno and Radio in the comms van we borrowed from the GSO to get into their network. Techno will link in to intercept any alarm signals, and Radio piggybacks to make sure we can stay in touch silently, and so any internal communications can be monitored.
The group of villains nodded almost in unison as Panzer pointed at the small rectangle on her map, indicating where the van should be.
And when do I break things?
That's a contingency, puppy.
Shadow patted him on his burly shoulder.
Right. Sorry, I got excited. I forgot.
Panzer couldn't help but grin. It had been a long time since she'd worked with an eager crew.
Once we have eyes on where Grim is being kept, Leap teleports us there and as directly as she can, with Go Loud inside Shadow's containment, to reduce the strain. After that, Leap goes into the Shadow containment too, to recover. Shadow shrouds us, and we make our way out towards the centre. Techno scours the network to find Grim, and Radio guides us by neural link. We get him out, and fully recovered. Leap warps us out. Any questions?
What is the contingency plan? The one where I get to break things?
Leap smirked and spoke up.
The contingency plan, or as I like to call it, fuck it all, in this, almost nothing goes to plan, and we need to smash our way through. The one thing we do need is for Techno to find Grim. Once that happens, Go Loud, you and Panzer make a straight line to him, we grab him, Techno shuts off all the lights, and Shadow leads us out. We cause as much mayhem on the way so that the GSO has to reorganize before they can do anything else.
This plan, I like it.
Just, one question. All GSO vehicles are geotagged. And even though I disabled the chip, the GSO's gonna know that the van we're bringing in is missing one. How do we handle that?
Simple. We're using the Director's hubris to our advantage. Since I quit, the roster of active heroes hasn't been updated. Me and Grim are still listed as heroes, and the media hasn't said anything about Freefall's death. There's been a gag order put out about the whole thing. I'm sure until the brains and the PR can spin some sort of story that makes me and Grim look like shit in Freefall and martyr a hero. That means I still have access to the facility. There might be questions, but I'm not concerned about those right now. We just need to get past the perimeter guards and stick to the plan.
I'm impressed. 20 of my men defeated. And you've made it to the second layer of the maze. Tell me, Sorley, do you like dogs?
What? The runes covering Sorley's suit thrummed with energy, invigorating him yet again. Images flashed in front of his eyes. A pair of magic boots cracking across a lower jaw. That same maw of teeth swallowing the sun. And a one-eyed man. What are you trying to show me? What? Don't you want to come down here and fight me yourself? Come on! Face me! A trio of javelins slammed into the floor in front of him. A group of Atreu's Vikings were up on top of the maze, heaving spears down at him and readying giant bows. I forgot to look up. Never forget to look up! Sorley slid around the corner. He dashed forward and sidestepped the next volley of projectiles, and two more berserkers swinging their massive bearded axes at him. Sorley slid around a corner and ducked behind a wall. Heavy, sinking impact sounded through the barrier behind him. A mechanical growl sounded next to him. Right next to him. Sorley looked slowly to his left, where he saw the source of the sound. It was a hound, about 5 or 6 feet tall at the shoulder. Rough patchwork, black and gray fur covered most of its body, except for its chest, paws, tail, and lower jaw. Those were covered in some sort of half-metal, half-stone that Sorley had never seen before. The circuitry in the beast's eyes shone with emerald light. Shit!
Okay, Mal. I know that Presto will be on site, but we don't have to kill him. What we do need to do is get Sorley out. If we...
Fine, Isto, but if I see him, I'm snapping his scrawny little neck.
Mal, Vendetta or the world? Which one?
The supplier's eyebrows shot up along with the corners of her mouth. She sauntered around the table and laid her hand on Isto's chest, his heartbeat, the dragon's heartbeat, causing it to vibrate against him.
The world, obviously, Isto. I just wanted to make sure you still had it in you to get angry. We might need that.
She stepped past him, muttering an incantation under her breath, and waved a hand in front of her. A ripple in the air blossomed into a tear in reality where a chunk of land and an industrial building lay suspended in a swirling nether.
Malika Cross. What? Where is...
This is how we get past the perimeter. How we get inside, Isto.
Why now? This will bring magic back to everybody, Mal. Are you sure?
You were right before. Taking the arcane division away. That was a selfish decision made in a foul mood.
It's not like you to just have a change of heart, Mal.
You're right. It isn't.
It's also very not like you to tell me I'm right, let alone twice.
Would you let me finish, Isto? Keeping this place out of reality? Well, that requires a large amount of magic to maintain. I think I'd rather have all of my reserves at my disposal. And the surge of magic coming back into the world should throw things off just enough to guarantee success.
You know, you're probably...
Would it kill you to just say, "You're right, good idea, for once, Isto Raita"?
Papers, please. Panzer handed over her GSO Hero ID card, and the guard swiped it over the reader without looking. It beeped, and the light shone red. Oh. Ma'am, your ID appears to be defective. Please report to...
Intercode 161142651826.
Panzer reached back and slapped Techno's shin. Ah! What was that?
I think the lady wants you to make sure the override code she just gave works. With your fancy hand.
I did that already. What am I? Some sort of amateur?
You didn't tell anyone, so I'd say so.
Techno blushed and held up an indignant finger before reconsidering. He sat back as much as he could in the cramped van. Could you move over just a little, go lad? Don't have any room.
Mm-hmm.
Look, I cannot help it that I am so large and you are so small. I did not make this van or choose it, okay?
Okay, well, you're making this
tiny
really
head
difficult for me. I don't appreciate being treated like a child.
Just move, stop it.
You
have
move
your
your
room.
leg.
You have enough.
No, I've not. You've done enough.
Okay.
The gate arm raised and Panzer pulled through, snatching her ID card back. She drove a car length past the gate before slamming on the brakes and turning around in her seat. And that's
I will
what I think
turn us around if you two don't cut the shit.
Techno held his hands up in surrender.
Yes, ma'am. Sorry, ma'am. You just started pushing me and...
What? I did no such...
Ah! Enough!
Silence followed.
Kids. Mal, this is crazy. You're just going to...
Put the building back where it came from. return magic to the world, and, in the ensuing chaos, snag our boy, and get out, all in all the commotion?
That is one way of putting it.
Yes. Yes, I am.
Talk me through the details.
So, when I took the building and the land out, the GSO only ever partially reclaimed the space. The latest floor plans show that the Arcane Division and the medical wings should intersect by just a couple of feet. There will be damage and a lot of noise, but since that sector of the building, back in the real world, is being worked on, considering the hour, it should be empty.
Mel,
So, as long as we are in the research lab on the bottom floor when I release the containment spell, it should put us right up against where Sorley is being held. We make our way through a couple of halls, snatch him, and I'll get us out. Simple, but genius, I know.
your plan is to drop a building on another building.
When you put it like that, it sounds so brutish, boring, uninspired.
What do you need? What do you need to make this happen? We're on the clock, Mal. And I hate working overtime.
The crew made it to the planned parking spot without incident. Go Loud disappeared into a condensed ball of shadow and hovered behind his partner's head. The trio headed for the main entrance and walked through the door. Panzer ordered the same authorization code there, and they were allowed through without question, which was starting to make the former hero worry.
You know, I'd think the doormen would be the more powerful supers, not these dime-a-dozen henchmen types.
Budget and optics. The director wanted to make sure that the GSO was approachable by the public, so keeping the super soldiers and heroes in the back and the mundane volunteers and hirelings out front was supposed to accomplish that. Seems silly to compromise competence for optics. It is. As you just saw, the lot of us strode through with what should be an expired authorization key. And, let me guess, the same fellas that run the front door run the intelligence desk?
Panzer's answer was the click of her tongue and a finger gun in Shadow's direction.
So, you got eyes on where we need to go, Techno?
Thinking at someone, almost like using walkie-talkies, was something Panzer would have to get used to. I've had it for 10 minutes. Sending it to you now. A vivid image of a room overlooking a maze flashed into Panzer's mind. With how both Shadow and Leap reeled, she imagined that it flashed just as brightly for them, too.
Got a solid lock?
Leap furrowed her brow and nodded twice.
Yeah, I've got it.
She held out both her arms.
Well, grab on. We don't have all night.
Shadow spun herself into Leap's left arm and affectionately leaned against her, while Panzer simply stepped in and leaned back against Leap's other arm. Being teleported was an odd sensation. It was like being pulled by her hip through a tube that wasn't quite big enough to fit her frame, but that wasn't hurting her either. After the warp, Leap's face was pale and her breath was ragged.
Come on, into the dark you go.
I just need to walk for a bit first, then I'll be fine. Swear.
The room they showed up in was some sort of observatory, overlooking a maze that had some reinforced shack in the middle of it. Large men dressed like Vikings were running through it and over the top of it, raining javelins and arrows down at some target none of them could see.
Odds are, that's our boy they're trying to kill down there. None of the alarms have triggered yet, so as long as we can get down there quiet and get to him, we can just...
There was an electric hum, like lightning could strike at any second. The air was so thick she could taste it, like someone had zested an entire bushel of lemons in that same room.
Something is off.
I don't like it.
With a boom and a horrific screeching of metal, concrete and glass grinding against each other, Leap and Shadow were sent flying as the building rocked with the collision. Panzer slid across the floor on her boots and caught the tumbling women, one in each arm. Go Loud, however, she wasn't able to grab.
Hijo de puta!
The large man shouted as he tumbled.
Uh-oh.
Just as surprised at him in the room. Loud pulse, all orb of darkness that had been following them had been lost in the roar of the colliding buildings. As the dust settled, Go Loud got to his feet, and Panzer put both of her accomplices back down.
Are you all right, Carida? Are you hurt?
Leap and Shadow were sporting some bumps and scrapes, and all of them were covered in dust and grime, but none of them were seriously hurt.
I'm fine, Papi. Just a little surprised.
Panzer turned to look at where the impact had come from. The back wall of the observatory had been replaced with another wall.
What the fuck?
Panzer tilted her head to the side. She could hear voices coming from the other side.
I told you that this was crazy, Mal. This building is halfway inside the other one. Who knows how much collateral has been done?
Well, maybe if you hadn't rushed me, I could have run the numbers the one more time that I wanted to, and the building would have shown back up where I wanted it to, and not where it did, Isto. I know that you can just do things, but that's not how magic works, okay? Isto Raita was the lawyer. Was that... Isto Raita was that lawyer.
Oh, so now this is my fault?
Isto, we don't have time for this. Sorely, remember? Now, be a dear and get to the front and get to the door for me. Get the door for me, sorry.
Go Loud had apparently had enough of standing around. He stomped toward the newly arrived wall, intending to show just how good he was at breaking things.
Whoever it is behind this wall, they have some questions I think I want answered. Like, you know, why ram a building with another building? Did you know there was anyone in here? And how dare you cover mi amada in dirt and grime and scrapes? You know just a few really simple...
The wall exploded outward. Go Loud, in a surprising show of speed, put himself between the shower of concrete and steel and everyone else in the room.
Oh, okay. That's enough. I have...
Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't think there was anyone in here. Miss Knight, Miss Riggs, Senorita Serrano, Senor Molina.
Senor? Have we met? I think I would remember a man so fuerte, both in body and style, and... I do not know you.
The supplier stepped out from behind Isto with a wry smirk on her lips.
How about that, Isto? 2 nice surprises. They did come to help, and the alarm hasn't even...
As if in response to her observation, the building's alarm started to blare.
Damn it, Mel.
Yes.
The end of season 2. Hey!
Hey.
You got it.
That was delightful.
That was my favorite episode.
Yeah,
Awesome.
I think me too.
Very good.
That was really great.
So, Joe, what the fuck, man? What's gonna happen now?
So part 2 of the heist, like the extraction part, still needs to happen.
Okay.
And obviously, you know, we need to see what happens between Sorley and like the mega wolf, bio wolf thing.
Mm-hmm.
And then he's gonna have a showdown with Atreyu. That also has to happen.
Has to happen.
So it's kind of like the build up to, you know, the underdog, like rapid rise to power super versus the number 1, and seeing how that happens, and then seeing how the heck everybody's gonna actually cooperate to get him out of there.
And then also, big picture, is it official that magic has been reintroduced to the world?
It is. So in previous episodes, just in case anybody missed it, when the supplier, aka Malika Cross, was effectively like given her umpteenth disciplinary meeting, she said, you know what, the hell with this. I'm where the magic comes from. I founded the Arcane Division, and I don't think that you guys deserve to play with my toys anymore. So she took it away. And when she took that away, she took all of the magic, except for hers, out of the world too, which is why, canonically, the GSO hasn't been able to like deal with magic. Like Sorley's little magic domino mask, they can't crack it. They can't figure out who he is behind that. They have to do actual detective work to figure out who he is. So now that that's back, it's going to cause a little bit of a shakeup, to be sure. And by a little bit, I mean like a lot of it.
A lot of bit of a shakeup.
A lot of bit of shakeup.
Okay.
So,
well, I'm very excited to see how that influences the world. I've never seen that before. Superheroes, and then, or maybe I have, but I just can't think of it. But superheroes with magic reintroduced like midway through, and yeah, I don't know. I'm really excited to see that, man.
yeah, because if you look at things like both Marvel and DC, like the two big like superhero comic companies, right? There's always like a few superheroes that actually interact with and perform magic,
Right.
but it's
right.
never just like a consistent thing.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
I'm excited to bring that and see how it goes.
Hell yeah, man. Well, this has been really fun. So when are you planning the next episode?
So that I still need to figure out because I've had some talks with Gary, who my heart that breaks could not be here to be Go Loud, but I will say that you did a bang up job.
Thank you.
As Go Loud. I loved it. It was real good. So it'll be. I had a talk with Gary, and there's going to be some stuff that he and I are going to be working on together, and that's going to be exciting. More to come on that when it's a little bit more developed. But there will be some stuff coming in.
Cool.
And I think if not for the next SBT Live, for the one after, there will be an Anti-Hero Chronicles.
So maybe we'll take a break from the Anti-Hero Chronicles for the next Soundbooth Theater Live, and then we'll get back to find out what the fuck happens to Sorley.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
Yep.
Well,
He'll finally be out of like his little torture basement.
I'm excited for it. Ahmed is getting even better at the live sound effects. This is really turning into cool productions, man. Like, I'm excited about that. So yeah, thank you, Joe, so much for doing these.
I love seeing it like get played out in real time.
Yeah.
It is very, very rewarding as an author.
Right on.